Welcome to Black and Blue, the State of Law Enforcement. This is a special report in the wake of George Floyd's death. I'm your host, Jessica Kwong. It's been a challenging few weeks in America after Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin knelt on the neck of a Black man, George Floyd, and he died later that night. It sparked many Black Lives Matter protests and calls to defund or disband police departments across our nation. Today we're back with 4 former New York City police officers. They all served on the force for about 2 decades, and I'm honored to have them back for another segment of this show. We have Cleveland Bannister, who served as a police officer and taught in the police academy. Clifton Hollingsworth, he served as a 2nd grade detective, and he also worked as a director of public safety at Monroe College. Also, Daryl Jarvis, he worked as a detective and also served as director of public safety at Monroe College. And finally, Raymond Benitez, who served as a sergeant. Thank you all for coming back and joining me on this show. It's great to have you.
Thank you for having us.
It's been a few weeks, like I said, since George Floyd's death, and I wanted you to talk a little bit about whether this has had a psychological or emotional effect on you. It's made a lot of people sick to their stomach, and I just wanted to know if you can share some of your personal feelings about this, and if they've improved at all in the few weeks that's passed, or it's just become the same or worse.
Well, I'm pretty much the same because we've seen this before. I think the one variant in this is that this is a worldwide situation where people are protesting all over the world because of this situation. This situation, it was more of a intent. It wasn't somebody that was afraid. It was somebody that murdered someone, and you could see that he meant to do that. He shifted his weight. He was smirking at people when they were telling him the guy, he couldn't breathe. And the guy told him, "I'm dying."
Yeah, he said, "I can't breathe, I'm dying, would you please stop?"
I've never heard that before. Somebody say, "I'm dying. Would you get off of my neck," basically.
It didn't seem to faze him at all. He just...
Yeah. So I was angry. I was angry as a Black man. I wasn't thinking about police officers at that point. I was angry as a Black man.
Human being, yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And you've all served on the force for quite a while, and we've heard, we've seen so many Black lives lost due to misconduct with the police or whatnot. Like we've had Trayvon Martin, Eric Garner, but was this something you had never seen before? A man begging for his life and the officer not budging, or is this also?
No. Well, Eric Garner, he was begging for his life too. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. But there were a number of people on him, so they gave the position that the chokehold wasn't what killed him. He had some underlying health issues. Regardless, if a person is begging and telling you can't breathe, you have a responsibility as an officer to switch your strategy. It should not be just one strategy. Okay, you got him subdued. Okay, let's move into something different.
Ray, do you have any thoughts on this? How did it affect you psychologically or emotionally?
Oh, this affected me as badly as the other ones. Walter Scott was in South Carolina. I don't know if you remember that one, where he was actually shot as he was running away, and then where they planted a taser and saying, and I guess that guy, his name escapes me. But this one was it was like a perfect storm. Like everything that could go wrong went wrong obscenely. There were people that were screaming, as Cliff said, to get off of him.
And I also would like to hear from Cleveland about how you reacted to seeing this, especially the video of Floyd being knelt on.
Well, it's several parts to this for me, because basically the first part is, as a Black man, okay, to see another Black man die right there on TV and know what he's going through, And I say nobody's going through because a little bit of background on me. I've been teaching and training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for 13 years. I personally, when we train, I choke people out on a daily. And in 3 seconds, we let it go because we don't want the person to go unconscious. That's what you call putting somebody to sleep. So as a black man, as somebody who trains in martial arts, to sit there and watch this and know in my mind, there was a point in the tape where I was sitting there going, get off him, get off him. He's out, he's out, he's out. Eventually, once that oxygen stops going to the brain and the blood flow stops, you know this guy's dead. He was like someone said earlier, he was dead right there.
I know it's very personal, so it's great that you were able to share this. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back with more Black and Blue, the State of Law Enforcement. Welcome back to Black and Blue, the State of Law Enforcement. I'm here with 4 former city police officers, and we're continuing this conversation on the aftermath of George Floyd's death. Daryl, I believe you had a question for one of your colleagues.
Yes, it's questions for Ray Benitez. I'm sure in your years as a supervisor, you came across an individual or two that showed you from their practices in the street that they had some racial bias in the way that they perform their duties. What was your response to that as a supervisor?
Now, if you have a person who's problematic, the best thing to do is to actually be very upfront. Now, one of the things that I found problematic is that usually when people feel, and I'm going to say this not literally but figuratively, if you're feeling like you have somebody stepping on your neck, you are going to be less inclined to do something that's really out of character or is not expected of you, because somebody is on your neck, somebody is watching you. And when you have somebody who is problematic or potentially so, or has a history of being very incendiary with their work, you let them know that they're being watched, and you kind of make them not feel as comfortable as they would prefer. Because if they're not as comfortable, then they're less apt to do things that they would find in their wheelhouse, where they can come along and do things easily.
Well, we're just about out of time for today's show, but thank you so much, Daryl, Clifton, Cleveland, and Raymond for joining me. We'll be back for Blue, the State of Law Enforcement next time.